What's up? What's up? What's up, everybody?
Hey, what's going on, bro? How you doing?
I can't complain. I can't complain. Hey, before I introduce our guest, you're tuned in to Kicking It with the Kellys. This is an impromptu Saturdays,
Yes, sir. Yes,
and,
sir.
and we have a special guest with us. I'm so happy that she's here. This is our 20th episode, Corinthian. Can you believe that?
Man, time fly when you having fun, man.
Time,
Time fly.
hey, from our last episode, kicking it with the Kellys, and we had the Remedy Room on. Oh Lord, I'm still recovering from that. Hey, without further ado, world, I want to introduce you to our guest tonight, and you can unmute yourself, Angie. We have none other than our childhood. Something. I We have known Angie since birth, correct?
yeah, 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 yeah.
Now I'm a little older, but I mean, so I'm guessing that you know
Yeah,
have known you all your life.
I ain't want to throw Angie's age out there and stuff like that, but
But you did.
yeah, kinda, yeah, kinda, we kinda did it. Over
Kinda.
30 years. It's been over 30 years.
Over 30 years.
Yes,
Over
sir.
30 years. Hey, world, this is Angie Carson.
Yes, yeah.
What's up,
What's going
Angie?
on, family?
What up?
What's up, family?
Y'all, I was just talking to my brother. Shout out to James.
What's up,
James Jr., what's going on, bro?
Come on. I was just talking to him before this, and I was like, you know what? The Kellys are a family. Like, I knew them, before I knew some of my blood relatives. So, I'm just
Wow.
honored to be here with y'all in this space and all of this great.
Hey,
Oh, man.
speaking of James, hey, what's up, James?
Hey,
James,
what's going
hey,
on? What's
up,
going on, bro? What's going on, bro? Shout out to James Jr.,
Shout
Pastor
out,
Mayo,
James.
First Lady Mayo,
There we go.
Tara
Corinthian,
Shine.
Kia on, Saxton. We got
Yeah,
the kid,
look,
everybody.
Bruce, everybody, Cherie, everybody, look, it's all family.
It's
You know
all
we
family. Man,
Yes.
and you know something? Every time I pass by Williamsburg, I just think about going to your aunt's church, Angie, and outside of Williamsburg, I believe. And we had church at the funeral home, I believe, didn't
Oh,
we?
Sister Harriet. Sister Harriet, I do remember that.
No.
I'm bringing it back.
Wow.
Fact. What cousin? See, I told you.
We had to remind you of the cut. It's
Oh
all
my
good.
goodness!
It's
You know
all
what?
good. It's all good. It's all
Hey,
good.
Angie. Okay, so let's let the kicking it with the Kellys let our viewing audience introduce yourself. Tell us about yourself. Okay, obviously I'm gonna set you up so you can just continue on with this. You have served our country.
Uh-huh.
We're gonna get on that.
Okay.
Your husband currently serves our country now.
Yep.
You have, oh my God, you have gone on and you're in the nursing field.
Yes.
And you have reached some heights that many are trying to achieve in that. So I'm gonna let you just take it from here and just tell us about your background. Let's go ahead and start with education, and then we're going to get into our upbringing a little later. But let's just go from there. Where did you go to school, and go from there.
All right. Well, it all started. No, I'm just kidding. So I grew up in Hampton. I went to Phoebus High School, graduated from there. And then I went to the Norfolk State University, Behold.
Hey, shout out, Behold the Green and Gold. There we go.
Um,
Well, I'm sorry. This episode is sponsored by ODU.
You know what? Look, don't
I'm
worry.
sorry.
Don't
This
worry. Next
episode is
time,
sponsored
look,
by
don't worry.
ODU.
Next time I'm having a mug. I'm gonna have a mug next time. Don't worry. Don't worry. I see
college
that.
night.
Yep. That was strategic. That was well played.
Hey, you know.
Well played. Well
He
played.
probably won't go there.
Tell him, honey. Monarchs forever. All right, my bad, Angie. Go ahead.
Okay, it's okay. So went to Norfolk State University and graduated from there. I did the nursing program. Now I was on the extended plan. Listen,
Hey.
Lord works.
Hey, it don't matter how,
Yeah,
how.
degree. Look, your degree don't have no date when you started and stuff. It just say degree.
It
It
just
just
say
say
that.
graduate.
There
You
you
know.
go.
So yeah.
During that time, I decided to join ROTC and continued on with the nursing program. And once I commissioned in as an Army officer in the Army Nurse Corps in 2012.
Oh my goodness! Wow.
Wow.
Almost 5 years active duty, and then I got out. Decided to go back to VCU. Let me get a mug for them too. Went to VCU to get my master's in nursing to be a psychiatric mental health nurse practitioner. And so during that time, before I could complete my board certification exam, we were taken to Malaysia. So that was kind of like on hold, continued studying and things like that. But once we got back due to COVID, I was like, all right, the Lord was speaking to me like, it's time.
Okay.
So I did that and then got a job, and now I'm working as a psychiatric mental health nurse practitioner.
Wow. I love that story arc right there. I love that.
Oh, that's textbook. I mean, it doesn't even get any better than that.
Yeah, but Angie, I want to say on behalf of Kicking It with the Kellys and us, thank you so much for your service to the country and being a vet. That is awesome. I love how you mentioned the ROTC route. Can you tell folks just a little bit about what ROTC stands for? What do you think the benefits were of it and that?
So a lot of people hear about ROTC from maybe like high school, and that's junior ROTC. I did not go. Actually, okay. Let me say this. I was picking my classes, and one of my friends, she was like, "Girl, I'm going into the Army. I'm gonna be in the Army. I'm gonna retire." And I was like, "All right, well, let's do this. I'm down. Whatever comes up." I went one day, and I remember. I think his name was Master Sergeant Guns, and he said, "Stand up and shout until the trophy shake." And I was like, this ain't for me. I went to court that in high school, but then I got to college and I was like, oh, who are these people in the Army uniforms or Navy uniforms at Norfolk State? And my husband was like, well, that's ROTC, and I was like, well, what is that about? So it's the Senior Reserve Officer Training Corps is what ROTC stands for. Wow. And so at that time, I kind of like lucked. Well, I'm not even gonna say lucked up. It was designed for me to go that route because they were really looking for nurses anyway to commission into the Army Nurse Corps. And so I was like, well, my mom had stopped paying for school at that time, so I was like, if I want to stay,
gotcha.
track, I need to figure it out. And so that's what I did. I joined ROTC. We spent the night in the field. I loved every minute of it and was like, oh yeah, this is what I'm finna do.
Wow. And you came out a commissioned officer.
Yep.
And from that, so is that what, second lieutenant?
Uh-huh.
All right, second lieutenant. And did you stay in long enough to make first lieutenant, or you?
Yeah, I stayed long enough to make first lieutenant, and then I got out.
And then you got out. All right. Do you want to, tell the folks why you got out, or what, is it a story behind that, or is it just, hey, I did my time and
yeah, well, it was kind of, I did my time. My family was increasing. Bruce was still active duty, and it was just getting hard to maneuver with a family unit because at that time they were getting ready to send Bruce overseas, and they didn't have a spot for me. So.
Well, let's go ahead on say, hey, let's go ahead on and talk about Bruce. Let's go ahead and talk about Bruce real quick. So, so obviously, Bruce is still serving in the military. Can we just give like this timeline? How long you've been married? What he, if you can tell without shooting anybody, what he does in the military and everything like that. So from there.
Okay, so we've been married for 13 years.
Wow.
He commissioned. I know.
Wow.
I'm making it. I'm making it.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a blessing. That's a blessing right there.
Wow.
Oh, Lord.
And how many children?
We have 3 together before all together.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
His daughter.
There we go.
Yeah,
All right.
Yeah. Be fruitful and multiply.
And there you go.
Be
You
fruitful.
doing it.
Yeah.
That's it.
Okay.
So so he works in DC, reading emails and doing what he does.
Yeah.
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 And we're gonna leave it at
And
that.
we're gonna
Okay.
because they can't know all that.
It's
They don't have that
stuff.
clearance.
It's certain stuff.
I don't even know what he's doing.
See, see, he's on special assignment.
Yeah.
Yeah, God got you.
See,
got you.
but I just want everybody to know you're looking at Black excellence right here. We are talking to Black excellence in all facets right now.
Yeah.
So I just hope everyone knows this.
But what I think is so beautiful. So Angie, you said some things that I want to know. I want for my listeners to have kids, students, children that are thinking about high school, college. There are multiple routes to get to where you want to go. So by doing the ROTC program, Reserve Officer Training Corps, where you put on scholarships, so they help fund some of that schooling.
They did.
Right. Exactly. So, and then typically when you commission into a service branch, usually your commission requirement or what you have to give back is typically around 4 years, correct? Then you can decide to re-up for longer, or you can get out. But what I tell people, the advantages of getting out: you get out as a veteran, you're connected, you get skills training, you usually get a chance to travel to places that you normally wouldn't travel to in the world. So, and then the connections that you make among fellow, servicemen or brothers and sisters at arms are lifelong. I did ROTC when I was in college at Virginia Tech, and some of those buds that I have that are currently serving 13 years in now, majors and lieutenant commanders and stuff like that now, I still talk to some of those folks still to this day. So I think about the fraternity, the bond that you build through those, in addition to finding ways to pay for school, in addition to getting skills and relevant training. So
right.
Yep.
And it's interesting even now, like I hear some of some sons and daughters, right? they will say, oh, well, my son or my daughter, they're enlisting, and I'm like, they're of age to be in college, right? I'm like, so, you didn't want them to do ROTC, and they're like, oh, what's that? Like, they have no idea, and so I'm just like, they can get paid while in school, like, it's, oh my goodness, it's just so much, right? I'm like, listen, hold. I'm sorry. I'm getting excited because I'm getting passionate, right? Because I'm like,
I love it. Keep on.
You get your degree first, right? Get your degree first. Yeah, I get it. It's almost like, recruiters kind of have this, they dangle it, right? Oh, well, you can go to college. They gonna work you. You are gonna work for every bit of it. It's still a good route. I'm not saying it's not, but there is another way. And so the other day I was talking to at the dentist, and she was like, so what's your husband's rank? And I was like, oh, he's in 04. And she was like, so is that that's like a E what? And I was like, no, honey, it's a 04.
Oh, yeah.
Like, come on now.
Office, yeah.
But she had no idea.
Yeah.
And that is, I'm glad you asked me to expound on that, because that's something that, a lot of people don't know about. And I wouldn't have known either had Bruce not, been up on game and told me about it.
Mm-hmm. Can you tell the people what 04 rank stands for?
It's a major?
Major, yeah. Yeah, it's a major.
Bruce is a major.
Yep.
Hey, if you don't get it right, a lot of your Army boys gonna get you.
Right.
but no, for the context, typically it starts out 01, second lieutenant, first lieutenant, captain,
Right.
major,
Army.
yep,
Yeah.
Army, yep, major. Then after major, they have lieutenant colonel, then colonel or full bird. And then you're talking about generals, 1 star, 2 star, 3 star, and up. And I like what you were saying. You have to break it down and make it relevant to folks. So people hear of things like CEOs and kind of know what that means, but equivalent to the armed services, it's that kind of, your middle managers, your officers, and your mid managers, then your executive levels and things like that. So I like to make the stuff relevant so people understand. It's multiple pathways to do it. It's a great way to fund school. I think about my freshman year roommate was an out-of-state student. He was from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. He came to Virginia Tech, and within his first semester, he got on scholarship in the Air Force. That means they were paying for everything. I'm talking about over $30,000 a year. And he graduated with his degree in math and then went to serve into the Air Force. Now, at this point, he's a pilot for the Air Force doing his thing. But, it's multiple routes to it. Multiple routes.
Listen, so once I signed up, I did the ROTC scholarship. Once I commissioned, I got, the loan repayment. And then I got my master's through the GI Bill. Like, come on, somebody. Come on.
Yeah. Come on.
Hey, if you're just tuning in, this is how you do it. if you're tuning in, see, I wish I would have did ROTC. I mean, what you just explained is what I try to tell the students that I work with every day, that, the option. And then I get a lot of students right now, the recruiters are out there and they want you to enlist. But, obviously, they got to fulfill their quotas and everything. So that's understandable. But I try to tell them, you can go in an RTC, have them pay for school, get commissioned as an officer. You will be the one getting saluted as opposed to. So, I mean, it's one of those things. So it's one of those. Now, obviously, you got to be qualified. You got to have leadership, qualities. But for those who I see that have leadership qualities that tell me that they're just going to enlist, I say you might really want to consider doing the ROTC route. Or having a pathway for them to pay for school, National Guard reservists, or go ahead on and do the ROTC in college.
Right, like you said, have a plan.
Have a plan.
Yes, sir.
So everybody, and we told you we grew up with Angie, and I mean we went to her father's church, Mount
Shout out
Carmel.
to Pastor Mel.
Shout out to Pastor Mel.
Still doing it. Yep. Still doing it. Yes, sir.
Mount Carmel Pentecostal Church of Deliverance, where the people meet with God. And corner of Buxton and Blair. But this is where we grew up, and so Angie is family, and we have obviously grown up in faith, together, and we learned from our father, and about holiness and being sanctified, and it has played a big part on how we maneuver in life. Now, yeah, we all fall short, of the glory of God, but it's always kept us on that, that path, to where we like, oh man, I can't be out here wilding, I gotta get something right. It's always that comeback. No matter if you're backslide or not, you coming back because you've been instilled with something, and that's what we got, growing up. And I know we're going to talk today about a little about mental health. We're going to talk about family. We're going to talk about a couple of things. So let's just go ahead and jump right into it. Let's jump right into it. Now, Angie, how this all came about, Angie was, watching our show, and we were talking about mental health during this episode, and there were some things that were said within that conversation that has sparked or can spark another conversation or an enlightened conversation of what we were discussing on our mental health episode. And Angie, I want to get it correct. Can you give me that phrase that you use, or the gist of what you say you wanted to touch on today?
Well, I'm so glad you asked. So, in we talked about so much. What talk. I was in the comments, right? Y'all were talking, and so we talked a little bit about. You talked about your children, and I have recently come to this. All right, don't judge me. This is judgment-free zone, right?
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Well, because if I was being judged, I'm should be getting stoned right now.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah.
So and I've come to develop this love for children, as they are a supreme being, right? I think that children come from, to me, they come straight from heaven, right? And they come here, and they are to show us what we lack and what we need to improve on. They're so reflective, and I think, it's. I was thinking about this the other day. I was on my way to the skating rink, because I need some outlets talking to people all day, right? So I was on my way to the skating rink, and there was this young mother, African American, and she was with her daughter. And I think the daughter left. Maybe the kid was 6 or 8, and the daughter had, I guess, left, let's say, some socks in the car. And this mom was like, mind you, we was in Newport News, right? But it doesn't even matter the location. But she said, "Why you leave them socks in the car? You ain't supposed to leave them socks in the car. We were supposed to be in line." And I was just like, she was like, shut up. And I was like, oh my Lord. So, and it bothered me and it vexed me, because I'm like, you are an adult, right? You have been triggered by your child, and that is something that you need to explore, right? That is something that we as parents have to be aware of, and we have to control our emotions, because how can we teach and train up this child in the way that they should go if we don't even have the lesson yet? You know what I mean?
Angie, so look, you oh man, you almost making my heart sing right
well,
now. Right?
Well, let me go ahead and sit down in the chair. I'm in a session with you.
Look, you better book a session. Book a section. We got the expert.
I got my sticky note.
Angie, you said that the children are reflective, and I love that.
Yep.
It's a mirror. Like, have you heard the statement, "You get out what you put in"?
Mm-hmm.
So when I'm thinking about that, if you're sowing what's on the surface, a small, it seems like a small thing. If I'm modeling for you an overreaction to something small, what do I think the child is going to do when they're confronted with something that's small?
Right.
They're going to use the example, the model that they've seen.
Right.
Or if we're modeling for them a positive approach, then how do we think they're going to approach certain situations? So the point I'm trying to make is that I love how you said it. It's a direct reflection.
Absolutely.
And there's stuff that we as the adults, I'm saying for the adults, it's stuff that we have to work on and unpack, because the children are the sponges.
Right.
They come out. They're the blank slate that we're gonna either fill them with all our insecurities, all the fly off at the handle. We can model that for them where they see that, and then when they get in situations, they're gonna act out the same thing, or we can model for them. Well, we need to think a little bit. We need to take a step back.
Right.
You know. So I love that. I love what you said.
And so as I'm in the line at this point and I'm quiet, I hit the Minister Kelly in the Lord Mayo, pray about this, because I'm unsettled, right? And I'm like, Lord, you just. And so as they come back to the car, the little girl asked, "Do we have to get back in line again?" And it was like round two. I was like, she was like, "What you think? What you think? We could just walk in front of the line?" I'm like, this little girl has no idea, right? And you are setting her up, one, to believe that she is supposed to be talked to this way, right? And then two, this is how she talks to other people. Kids don't know. And I think it's important that, like I said, we have to have self-awareness and understand our triggers and take that moment, that tactical pause, and just stop and respond, because they are watching us. They're watching us.
Okay. All right. So let me. I'm gonna try to act smart, but I'm not. We have the philosopher in here, and then we have the actual therapist in here. I do agree. I looked at Kia's comment. She said we need to stay on triggers because we saw a result of something that has been mirrored maybe through generations. So I think let's take it back a little bit. What we show our kids and how we respond to our kids and what triggers us, in response to our kids' actions. Where is that from? Learned behavior? What happened and what has us so wound up that this is how we act towards what we have brought into this world.
Right.
And so my question to both of you is it learned behavior? So pretty much we have to say the mother, I'm not sure how much or how old she was, but is this something that you can say or probably say that this is how she was treated when she was young from her parents? And now that's the only way that she knows how to manage her children. So if we can just touch on that, is it bigger than what we think as far as when we see someone doing like what you said, Angie, and what got you so, really disheartened about, is that something that you can probably say that this mother, something in her past has made her this way?
So, and so I think my response to this is, in my mind, okay, was there one, like you said, did her mother or her parents or did people talk to her like this? Or did at some point she felt like she wasn't as smart, right? And so, oh, well, what you think what you think we just supposed to get back in the line? Like as though the little girl was questioning her, how can I put this? Questioning her judgment on back into
right.
that line, right? When really, so that was a trigger for her, because I'm pretty sure the little girl just didn't know what was going on, right? And so I remember I was looking at this thing called conscious parenting. And it was an exercise that was talking about, think about the last time you went off on your child. And I was like, shoot, that was yesterday. So,
mine was right before we started.
So I'm like, okay, so all right. And they said, well, what made you go off? And I was like, well, that's easy. Mackenzie won't listen, right? And then they said, but why? And I was like, because she didn't hear me. But why? Because when I was younger, I felt like my voice wasn't valid, like I didn't have a voice. And so but why keeps going until you can take accountability And it starts with, not because my child did this, but because I in the past have felt this way, right? And so I was like, that blew my mind. And I was like, I have to be more aware and accountable of my emotions, and understanding that emotions are energy emotion, right? And so it may hit you, but it can stop there until you are at a place where you can handle the situation. Um, that's my daughter, by the way.
You know what?
Hey, I love it. Oh, that's hey.
Oh, she is gonna
this
eat
being
this
recorded?
up. Is that Mackenzie? Mackenzie, eat it up. I
Oh,
hope.
man.
But why? That's all you gotta ask her from here on out. But why?
But you know what? She was sent to me, right, to work on that, because there is a work that she has to do too. And there's a reason why she is in my life, to show me those things and to explore those things. And I welcome it. I welcome it, because we can have a dialogue in hopes that when she has children, she can have these same conversations. So it's no longer just shut up, sit down, and be quiet because I said so.
Yeah.
Because we're teaching our children, no, you don't have a voice. You will always do what I tell you to do, or what somebody else tells you to do, and you don't even have to think on your own, because somebody's always going to tell you. Those are not the children that I am raising.
Wow.
I love
Wow.
it. I love it. I love it.
I got so many sticky notes up here, it don't even make no sense. I'm taking Cornell notes and
that what I think is so beautiful about that is you are learning to embrace the idea of being a conscious parent. Mm-hmm. And that's huge, because I think about the way that we were raised, mm-hmm. And a lot of the questioning, or the space for the questioning, was not always there. Mm-hmm. And I would probably say that's because our parents didn't question what their parents told them.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So being able to have that space to do that in a healthy, productive way, because we do want our young people to be able to think critically. We do want them to not, when I heard that story, we want our young people to not react to a situation, but we want them to respond. The mom in that story, she was reacting.
Right.
She was not responding to the situation. And I want our young boys, I want our young ladies to know how to do that, because there's triggers that are going to happen in life, period. I want you to know how to respond to a trigger, not just react. Just, I was mad, I did this. No, we want you to be able to respond.
Right. I put down on my notes, like, the goal is not to make children dependent, but responsible. Right. In essence, as parents, we are to work ourselves out of a job. Right. And that's where the training them up in the way that they should go. Right. So even when we depart from them, they will keep it on.
They will still keep going. Wow. Wow. Oh my goodness, Angie, you preaching tonight. Our parents taught you only what they were taught. That is true. We getting a lot of comments. Your family in here big time. So thank you for all the comments. They showing out right now. Thanks, James. Mackenzie, thank you. Kia, repeat that, Angie. Let me ask you something, because you're a PK.
Yeah.
You're a PK, and we are MKs, I guess. we MK, minister's kids, and we got a preacher's kid. Now, let's talk about our we're gonna keep this on the kids. We gonna make this personal. We're gonna personalize this thing. We're gonna stamp this out. Obviously, being a preacher's kid or a minister's kid is probably one of the toughest avenues to be in. We understand that, other children might have CEOs as their parent and stuff like that, athletes, celebrities, stuff like that. But preacher's kids, I mean, there's a thin line. between perception and how you conduct yourself outside of the church, which already puts a stigma on us already. And then also we have to balance the world and the church. And if we go outside of that, how do our parents react? If we go outside of what we've been taught, what is the messaging that we have from our parents when we do? So let's talk about it. We going in right now. We going in.
I think that oh Lord, y'all was there.
Let's go. We're going deep sea diving right now.
So it's interesting. The one thing that I'm thinking about in particular is growing up, Pentecostal. That's like no nothing, no
movies.
I think we barely went to the mall.
No, barely.
Right.
It won't no dance. It won't no
sleepovers.
Won't no dancing. Won't no
y'all had to
sleep.
Y'all had to wear dresses. Yeah.
Yeah, stockings.
Yeah.
Y'all had stockings.
Yep.
Y'all had to wear stockings.
Yes.
Yeah.
Long dresses.
Yeah.
I'm like, how am I supposed to go play this basketball? Right? Because I was trying to keep up with y'all.
Yeah.
But it got to a point, and my daddy, he, I love that man. He is a man of God for sure.
Yeah.
There are some ways he grew up, right? Yeah. So with being Pentecostal, oh Lord, I hope okay. So basically on the pants end, I remember I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna just go to school. I'm gonna go out to the bus with a dress on, and then
yeah,
that's what's gonna happen.
Right.
One day, now granted, this was when I was in high school, so my daddy, his heart got softer, as time went on.
Okay.
And so I went out there, and one day I was walking to the bus, but one pants leg fell down, and so I was just like, let me just kind of walk and get behind over here. And he saw it, he didn't say anything. And then later on, he said, it was a test. It was a test for him to actually show the love of God and not come down on me because of these man-made rules. And so I appreciate that lesson because it was an example. Now, it won't always like that.
Right.
But I respected that. And that taught me so much more. One, that I was trying to fit in when I was never supposed to fit in. And then two, to obey, and to also how do you listen, those are good. And how do you navigate, when things as a parent doesn't go your way, and how do you show the love of God, because that's what we're here to do. As it relates to our children, as it relates to our career, as it relates, to everything, just being that example of what Christ looks like and following him.
So true. Corinthian, you got something to add to that, man?
I would characterize Pentecostal as super straight and super narrow, right? Think about apostolic and holiness and things like that. And what I realized over time as I've gotten older, there's still some valid the intent or the heart behind that stuff, or the way certain things work. I think is pure, and we'll try it. The purpose is to try to keep you on that super straight and super narrow. But I love what Angie said. We are humans that can and will fall short. So there has to be grace for reconciliation. There has to be grace for teachable moments. We have to in certain areas, be flexible enough, or imagine if I can sit down with my parent and have that conversation about, hey, this is why I want to wear pants, because right now I can't play none of the sports with anybody. It's not feasible right now. So that's a whole. Imagine if there's the space to have that conversation. You see what I'm saying? So now it's not trying to find a way to go around it. It's feeling open enough to have that conversation and be heard, right? So it's one thing is wear the stuff because I told you to wear it. It's another thing to say, well, what's the reason you don't want to wear it? Or what compromise can we come to? And I would say, and even not as a parent. So I know it's different. Look, all this stuff sounds good in books and in theory. It's another thing to do this stuff every day, right? But imagine if as kids get older and then and take on more responsibilities, there's more conversations had. It's more discussion of the why I'm asking you to do this stuff and telling you to do this stuff. And we know 9 times out of 10 the reason is I'm trying to prevent you from getting hurt or making a mistake that I did, So
Corinthian, everything you just said, I love a space to have conversations. That's what I'm taking away from what you just said. Providing that space to have the conversation about why I am saying you can't wear pants, but then you giving me your reasoning to why you want to wear it, and then we can address it from a lot of different angles. We could address it from the Bible. We can address it from sports. We can address it from, adventures that you're trying to do that the dress might not be appropriate. Are there compromises and things like that? So I agree. Let's dive some more into this since we're talking about parenting and kids. What is appropriate discipline? What is appropriate discipline? Is it age based? Is it and what type of discipline is warranted? Because I can tell you right now, it was spare the rods for the child. And when we say rod, we didn't mean verbal talking, verbal lashing. It was rod as far as belt, switch, extension cord, shoe. It didn't matter. No, wrestling belt. It didn't matter. Whatever they can find. So obviously, we want to say that times have changed, but have they really? Because they were talking about spare the rods for the child in the scripture. So obviously, times haven't really changed that much. So what is appropriate discipline, and how can that affect children growing up, or how can it keep them on the straight and narrow, or push them really far apart?
I think as far as parenting goes, you can't have one method that serves all children. And I definitely do think it's age-based. Now, there are some things that Mackenzie can do, or some things that my son Prince can do that Mackenzie can't do, right? And that's just because their levels of intellect. My sons are 4 and 2. Mackenzie's 12. There are just certain things that can't be it. And I was just thinking, as far as spare the rod, spoil the child, that was it. That was like, there is no other discipline. Okay, later on in my life, I can remember getting on punishment or restriction. I could never talk on the phone. I was like, dang, again? What'd I do? What happened? But either way, I think that I think that spare the rod, spoil the child has its place, but I don't think it's the first, second line. We're going to talk. I like to create a place of psychological safety where my children can come talk to me, because that's important. And that stems, that's at the root, and then that can branch out to their relationships with other people. It's having that psychological.
Do y'all feel Corinthian and Angie, do you feel like you could talk to our parents growing up? Did we have that environment that we could talk? And I'm about to be transparent here. I believe that my mom was so holy, which she was. I mean, I believe that she set a great example for us. So I'm not, denying that. But I felt like I really didn't want to come. I didn't that connection as far as talking to about my girlfriend or somebody that I was interested in or something that I wanted to do. I felt like I already knew what the answer was going to be.
Mhm.
And that's a very peculiar space to be in, where you don't even want to ask because you already know what the answer is going to be. And that and for but that kind of gives you this, I don't know, this, I don't know if it's trust, I don't know if it's emotion. I don't know. Help me out. And you can diagnose me. I don't know. Do I have mama issue? I don't know.
Corinthians said earlier, straight and narrow, right? Meaning your eye is on the prize, you got blinders on. There is nothing else, right? Because we were taught what you do for Christ is gonna last.
Yeah.
I don't care about what your girlfriend doing. I don't care about what your friends doing. What you do for Christ gonna last.
Yeah.
And I think in a sense, how can I put this? I think for us, it served us well. I mean, it served us. Okay, hold on. Let me get it in the scripture. Hold on. What's the scripture?
No, they gave us a solid foundation.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
They gave us a solid foundation.
Yeah.
But Angie, to your point, now you're talking about individual people need different, and everyone is not cookie cutter.
Ooh.
So what Arthur might need is different from what I might need.
Right.
And it takes being in tune and recognizing that, one size does not fit all, in my opinion, when it comes to parenting. It don't fit all when it comes to teaching, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Now, to the point that Arthur made, in my opinion, to have an effective conversation, you need two parties willing to do it. So I'm not going to put the onus on just my mom or dad.
Mm-hmm.
I pull back to what I'm saying is what did I do to initiate certain conversations as I got older, where I could have done that if I really, really wanted to. So I'm not going to just put it on just parents, especially by the time you get teenagers and can talk and understand kind of what's going on. You either decide I want to and be open, or I don't. You see what I'm saying? So I would say in a lot of cases, there were certain situations that I was dealing with that I did not want to bring to my mom and dad. Mm-hmm. And that was my choice. I'm not saying that my mom and dad did not want to know or anything like that. I made the choice for me. Mm-hmm. So I think it's important to set up an environment early for those spaces. So now it's I've been coming to you since I'm 4.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Now it's not even a big deal me coming to you at 13, 14, feeling safe to have that conversation with you because you've been modeling it for me all the way through. So I think that's something that and another thing I want to say is we also have to think, for you to know how to do that, to be a conscious parent, was that modeled for you by your parents? And if it won't, how would you know to do that?
Right.
So I think about that. I think about the generation gap, the age gap, and things like that. So to that point, I'll say our parents, I know they tried to do the best that they could do. And I'm thankful for that. We can see they tried to evolve over time, where they was trying it one way. And now, I can't be that black and white no more. So that's some growth.
Yeah. And I appreciate it. I appreciate all of that. As it relates to me developing my own philosophy on parenting, I took the foundation and I plugged in what worked and what didn't work for me. Right.
I like that.
And so, even with me as far as my children, right? And don't think I'm crazy. I believe my children were given to me for me to teach, for me to nurture, and then they will go on and they will, do their thing. I think I'm on. I don't want to say borrowed time. I think they're loaned to me in a sense because they're not mine. I'm just the vessel that God used to get them here. And so when I think about that, I think about the greater responsibility, and so I individualize their plan. Like, hey, I see compassion in you. Let me pull that out. Or I see you a leader, you're aggressive, but uh, let me hone you in. Did you ever think about this, right? And I think, but that was my desire, unto the Lord to be in that space, and so He gives us the desires of our heart.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. I borrowed time. I like how you phrase that, because I I believe that too. I mean, because they're getting up out of here. But in the time that I have them,
Mm-hmm.
I have to develop, um, let them develop what they're going to be,
Yeah.
and the people that they're going to be. And obviously, I have to know what I instilled in them. Now
Right.
they have their own mind; they can think for themselves. They could do their own thing. I could have taught them something,
Mm-hmm.
and they not want to use that in their
Right.
life. But the
Right.
thing is, I don't want it to be said that I didn't teach them,
Mm-hmm.
the right way to go, or how to know what's right from wrong, and how to dissect, things that you should probably try to get involved with, and things that you shouldn't probably try to get involved with. I want it to be said that, your father did try to tell you or teach you in a good way. Go
I,
ahead. Go
I,
ahead.
I have a quick question for my parents, of both you, Angie, and Arthur, that have beautiful families, beautiful, bright children. What are y'all thoughts on roles? Like, is there a role that the father plays and the mother plays? Is it blended? Is there a nurturer side from mom? Is there the disciplinary side from dad? What are y'all thoughts on that, and how do y'all incorporate that and y'all's raising and rearing of y'all's family?
I was
You're the guest, so go ahead.
I was like, is he gonna press this mute button? It's ideally that family unit, right? So I can only speak from my household. By nature, I am nurturing. Look, James like tag me.
Tag me
Hey,
in.
hey, tag in. Yes, sir.
Um, so I am nurturing by nature, right? And my husband is more, he's the disciplinarian. Like, when he come in the door, all the kids acting right. I'm like, didn't I just tell you to go clean? I just told you to go clean that up, right? But I think just naturally that's our role now. It's a little bit different now because during the week I am here, so I have to be both. And that is taxing. It's taxing to have to come out of character to make sure that my children are disciplined and to make sure they are nurtured, and also retain feedback so that they are not taking advantage of the situation too.
Wow. Mm. So okay. I would have to agree. You know, I think everybody plays a role.
Mm-hmm.
And you used the word where you said that you have to blend both roles. Obviously, when dad's away, if something goes down in the house, you can't just say, "Oh, I just gotta wait for your daddy to get home,"
Right.
because he might not be home for a time. Because you want to address it right then and there. Because obviously, if he come on way later, they might be already playing and stuff like that, and then daddy come back, and I will have to say that's a horrible position to be in when you got in trouble, you know, or your mom told you that some gonna happen, um, and then it goes some time, and then I have to walk in, and now I'm like, okay, well, all right, because I don't have a problem being the bad guy. I think I flourish in because it I mean, some laying of the hands gonna happen. So, but I've been trying to dial back because I don't want to be thought of as just the enforcer. I want to be loving too. I want my kids, I get joy every time I walk in the house and my sons come running up to me saying, "Hey, daddy's home."
Mm-hmm.
I love that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I enjoy the fact that they want me to read them a bedtime story every night. Those are great feelings for a father.
Uh-huh.
And then to always be labeled as the disciplinary parent, that's kind of hard because at some point I'm like, yo, are they gonna hate me when they grow up? I don't want, I don't want them to hate me.
So this is something, and again, this is just an outside observation from the outside looking in. All right, discipline, I think, gets a bad rep. Okay, there's discipline in action. Okay, there's discipline in how someone carries themselves. There's discipline in someone's work ethic, where I think discipline is very important.
Right.
Especially when we said children are reflective and they're sponges. Discipline comes in where I'm talking about as a young male. I'm watching not what my dad said, but I was watching what my dad did day in and day out. That's the stuff that I remember. So I saw my dad disciplined enough to get up early to head to work every day, iron his stuff to go to work and go out to work and come back home. And when you see that day to day, that's imprinted in my head. That's something that I got to do as a male. Okay?
Corinthian, let me just stop right there because I might need some therapy on this one too. Because we've been in pandemic, I've been working from home.
Yeah.
And the kids do virtual from school. And when you said seeing what your dad did and not what they said, it's kind of been hard for me because, since I work from home, I mean, I can just be in my PJs and just get on my laptop, or I can do some stuff on my phone.
Yeah.
And Baylor and Blake, they have to be logged on for class.
Yeah.
And I don't think they quite understand that I'm still working, but they see me as, you're not doing you're not doing that. So I need to get right back on track.
well, I would say there's some intentionality.
Yeah.
But Arthur, I don't think those roles are mutually exclusive. I think it's beautiful that you modeling for your kids that it's okay to hug dad, and dad can read and be, I don't even like the word soft, but dads can nurture as well. That reading, that quality time that kids yearn for, the school programs that I used to work in, I saw a lot of young males bitter because they didn't have that. They didn't see that. So now their idea is be hard. Because if you don't have somebody modeling for you what soft look like in an appropriate way, how to treat your mom in an appropriate way, what frame of reference do you have? You see what I'm saying? So It's so important, just from an educator standpoint. Well, what's the example we set, and what example you looking up for?
Right.
So I'll get this last example for, I would say, Barbara and Daryl Kelly Sr. We grew up, I have never heard my mom or dad use a curse word, ever. I've never heard them say a curse word out their mouth. That's why I don't curse. I didn't see it. I didn't grow up with my parents getting mad and cursing somebody out, so that's why I don't do it. But imagine if you did. You see what I'm saying? I can see you being more likely to, well, there it is. You see what I'm saying? So, yeah.
No, I got you. Yeah.
interesting, how we, obviously our environment plays a huge role into how our environment puts deposits in us, right? Whether those are seeds, whether it's watering the seed, whether it's digging up the soil, whether, wherever it is on the growth chart, our environment gives us deposits. And I just think, I'm gonna go back to my father for a minute, and talk about the words that he used out of his mouth were words of, he spoke into us, right? And I try to talk to my children too about what they say out of their mouths, because that is what is going to give them life. Let me tell you, I don't even let my children say I'm sorry. They don't even say I'm sorry.
Ooh.
They hit each other or whatever. Sorry. No, you're not.
Yeah, you meant to do it. No, I'm just playing. Go ahead. I see where you're going with this. Go ahead.
No, right. But you're not sorry. You can apologize.
Yeah.
And you can put that on, but you're not sorry. Right. I don't never want you to say that you're sorry. Or, my kids will be playing in the game and they're like, oh, I died. You died in the game. You ain't died in real life. So, I just, and as we're adulting and as we monitor or being an example for our children, I am mindful that it is what we say it is. And that's biblical. When God made the creation, he spoke it. He told Adam, hey, look, you name these things over here, and it's going to be what you say it's going to be. Right. And so I just want to say, what Kia say?
Yeah, Kia, you and Kia are alike. I'm finding that more and more every day.
Like whatever we bound on earth will be bound in heaven.
Yeah.
So just being mindful, like just speak life. Speak life.
Speak life.
Just
speak life.
Yeah.
You're gonna live. Oh my brother. Yeah. Oh, for those who don't know, Angie can sing.
Yeah, so why are you singing? Let Angie sing this stuff. Why you gotta see? I see what Kia be talking
make
about.
A joyful noise.
No, hum it, Arthur. You hum. Let Angie sing. Don't you do it.
Okay. We can honestly say our generation, there's 30, between 30, 36, 38, to 40, 30 to 40. The generation that we grew up in, we consider that old school generation, right? Our parents are in their 70s, well in their 70s, 80s. Do you mind giving Pastor Mel's age?
Oh, my daddy is 89.
89.
89.
Wow, 89. That is a blessing. That's a blessing.
Hey,
still kicking.
Is he still playing his guitar?
No, he gave that up.
He gave it up.
Yeah,
oh man.
Yeah. But he still will cut a step. Like 2 Sundays ago, cut a step.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah, man.
Wow.
I think, and you can tell your dad if your dad is listening. I think my favorite sermon from him was called "Take the Dead Man Off," and he preached it at Bishop Sneed's church. It was a night service, and I was so proud. Because obviously, Bishop Sneed Church, that was considered like the mega church, the big church to us.
Right.
And your dad, Pastor Mel, came in there and shut that place down. And I'm a little kid now. Obviously, I had to have been. I was under 10, and he preached that thing, and I just sat up in there like, I'm taking the dead, man. I'm taking the dead. My favorite sermon from your father. So if I get a chance to tell him that, I'm going to tell him that was my favorite sermon from him.
You remember when we used to, look, talk about them Kellys and Mayo Friday nights prayer service. Do y'all remember staying at the church
We talked about it. We talked about it on
Yeah.
the show the other day.
Oh my
We all night
Yeah,
prayer.
But but people don't understand the difference between Pentecostal church and just church. It's church and then it's Pentecostal church.
yeah.
We were in church, Sunday school, then Sunday morning service, then came back for evening service, and that's
Right.
just Sunday.
Right.
Then it's Wednesday night.
Yeah, Bible study.
Yep.
Then
Yeah.
it's Friday.
Yeah, prayer.
And then it might be something going on Saturday.
Yeah. I mean, we had a yard sale, a bake sale, something.
Yeah.
But if when we did, have a choir or whatever, we would, rehearse and all this. So, man,
Vacation Bible school, all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
that was our life.
For years. like what I'm saying, not for days, for years.
Right. 1 week for the revival. This worth the revival.
I'm talking about quartet groups. I'm talking about I mean, we fellowship
and you remember the New Year service at the Franklin's Church?
we was burning our New Year's.
And the Christmas. I'm sorry, the Christmas service at the Franklin's Church.
Yep. Christmas play. I mean, we was having a play. Me, you, and Daryl. We were the three Hebrew. We three kings of war.
Yeah, the wise men. Yeah. That's how we was coming through. That's how we had to come through.
Love it, Oh man. I'm just thankful, y'all. I needed this.
Okay, you were talking about mental health. Can you give us a day in the life of what you do at work?
Sure. So, wake up, I get to the office, and so people come to see me for, for things like depression, anxiety, people that are bipolar, schizophrenic, people that have ADHD, and so what I do is I manage those things with medication and kind of coordinate care, whether patients may need therapy or anything like that. So, I'm kind of like the light in the dark for them.
So you do prescribe?
I do. That's what I do. I prescribe medication.
I know someone that needs some Thorazine. No,
No. So yeah.
Gotcha, man. Angie, you big. This is amazing.
I do what I can.
So in your expert opinion, Angie, would you say that more people are utilizing mental health resources now, especially in the Black community, or that's an area that we still need a lot more work?
Most of my patients are not us. I have a few, but most of them are not us. And so I wonder, where are we then, right? Because I was thinking of maybe some theories. Maybe there's not a lot of access to care. Maybe they are, don't, kind of like the ROTC thing. They don't know about it. They don't know if they have an issue. They don't know if they are beyond help. They just don't know. And this is one of the reasons why I feel strongly about being in this field as far as representation goes. Wow. It's okay. You know what I mean? It's okay. You are okay not to be okay. And then I think too, maybe some people think that, if something is wrong with them and they have to seek help, then that validates the fact that something is wrong with them. So instead of looking at it as, something is wrong with me, it should be more so an act of self-love to get help that you need.
Wow. Let me ask you something. And yes, and she is big time, sis. She big time. Let me ask you something. Since we have a strong, I don't want to say religious background, but spiritual background. and now you being in the mental health field, is there a correlation between that spirit world and that scientific? I know you got to talk about the science,
Right.
but I think about, in the scriptures where it talks about the man that was cutting himself. He was possessed by legion, and he was crying and cutting himself. He knew he wanted relief. He knew he needed help, but obviously he couldn't help himself. Then Jesus came and obviously, cast the devil out. But, I think about, I'm in a profession where I coach, girls basketball. I work with, a student population, and I've seen it all.
Mm-hmm.
And I have, everything that you just named, I have to deal with, in some aspect. And, I've experienced cutting. I've experienced a lot, ADHD, all that.
Mm-hmm.
So that scripture where he was cutting himself, and then, being, knowing someone, or people that have cut themselves. I'm trying to see, is there a correlation between the two, that there needs to be a deeper conversation, or it's just the science and the spiritual is the spiritual?
The Bible says we wrestle not against flesh and blood, right? And so it's because of where I come from, right? And my background, I see things, right? And I think there is a correlation. I find a lot of I'm not saying the science is not relevant, right?
Right.
But what I see, I ask a question in my interviews, and I ask them, how important is religion or spirituality to you? A lot of my patients say, not important. I don't care about it.
Wow.
But the ones that do, it's almost like the science is the science, but then you have coping mechanisms, right? And so even with medication, let me say this, medication only gets you so far, right? Now, people can lean on psychotherapy, to help build up those skills, whatever they may be wrestling with, or they reach out to church family, that, they have faith partners or whatever, what have you. But in terms of prognosis, I believe that typically people who believe in spiritual warfare have a better prognosis from my experience. I can't speak on any other experience. But it's really interesting. And I ask another, in my interviews, I open myself up to, the Holy Spirit. And I pray, cover me.
Right. Wow.
Cover me. Because what I want to do is I want to be a light in a dark place. What I don't want to is be a conduit for spiritual forces, right? So I think that, let me get this. I ask, how do you think you will ever be whole? Or do you think,
Wow.
What are your thoughts about being healed or whole? And I don't ask every patient this, but when it comes to me to ask, I do ask. And it's interesting, I haven't had one yet that said, oh, I believe that is for me.
Wow.
Right. And that is, I think it's more so for me to gather information so I know how to maneuver. But it's just really interesting because as a man thinketh, so is he.
Yeah.
And that's on, that's whether you're Christian, that's what, the laws of the universe,
yeah.
Whatever, that is, it goes across many different, how can I put it? It
crosses many different avenues.
Barrier, right?
Yeah.
So it's just interesting, and I wonder to myself, is it your belief that is keeping? in some cases, not all, but is it your belief that's keeping you here? Even aside from mental illness, is it your belief that's keeping you in this place? Do you
Mm.
not believe that you are worth more? Or do you not believe that you can get out of this? Or do you not believe that you're your own rescue? Like, what is your, what is your belief? And
Yeah.
it's interesting. And sometimes I wish I had more time, especially with people who, are like, oh, I'm a Christian. I believe the word. And I'm like, okay, but let's talk. What's up?
Yeah, 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 yeah. Hey,
You
yeah.
know, you know what's going on now. But,
I
if
got you.
you
I
don't
got you.
that, I'm like, oh, okay, all right.
Wow, wow. I love your approach on that. I know Corinthia wants to talk further, but I love how you incorporated in some facet in your interviews and your process and that vital question, do you want to be whole?
Mm.
Do you want to be healed? I think the Greek so or whatever I think it is, but wow, that's amazing.
Mm. No, I love that. I love that. And then it goes back to something you said a little earlier, Angie. How are you speaking life into your situation? Because what you say, like those words have power.
Right.
All right. So, you want to be confirming, yes, I want to be and I will be, and so, I love that. That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm like, what are we working towards? Another thing I tell my clients, like, hey, I'm support. I'm not going to work harder than you, though. This is your game. I'm just support. What can I do for you? And
What
so,
can
right, and so that becomes this is what you say it is.
Oh, I like that.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm not discounting their belief. I'm not discounting their state of being, but you have to activate that mind space and have goals on what you want it to be.
You when we started this conversation, you told us about your experience in the store with the woman and her child, and you were standing in line. In your profession, is it hard for you to not diagnose everybody that you see?
I mean, I don't. I honestly, like, when I'm off the clock, I'm minding my business.
Okay, all right, okay.
We can still laugh, joke, kick
You
it.
got that separation between churches there.
Right. That's it.
Working home, personal. You got that separation. I got you.
You
I
like,
got you.
mind the business that pay me, and that ain't it.
Corinthian asked a good question though. He asked a good question as far as if we talk about the Black community. Should more of us be seeking out mental health counseling? Should we, our population, do we utilize the resources that are available to us? Because I've come across a lot of people, especially since we experienced mental illness in our family. I have a awareness of to an extent, and so I want to say, are we really taking advantage of trying to break these generational curses through the inventions that were allotted to us? The scriptures talk about, man have created so many inventions that we just have to utilize them to our benefit. So are we utilizing psychosis and everything like that?
Yeah, I think that I've seen more people just like on my timeline, like, hey, I'm talking to my therapist, or my friends are like, girl, I don't miss my appointment with my therapist. And I think that is so courageous of people that are out and seeking help. I would like to see more people that come float through my office, but as long as people are out there and they're getting help, I think that's great. So as far as my standpoint, I think that of course there's always room for improvement, but I
Right.
think we are doing the best that we can with what we have.
And if you can answer that question that's in the chat there, since we started this off with the children and triggers, what triggers us as adults and how we portray that on our children, we got to do better. Parents, we really have to do better in that aspect as far as yelling and providing that we have to be. I wrote this down. oh man, not coping, psychological safety.
Mm-hmm.
I love how you said that, Angie. Yeah, we got to be a conduit of that. But if you can answer that question that's in that chat there,
Yeah, I think I would recommend therapy for children. It's interesting. There's a therapy. Look, this the devil is a liar. Look at this battery going down.
Kia, tell it.
Look,
Angie, you about to be on our
you
next
about, hey,
reel.
you about to be. I told we about to make you famous.
I'm gonna plug in. I do. I do recommend therapy for children. There is there is something actually called play therapy for children, and it's very important. And so it's important for children that are about 12 and under to do play therapy to process emotions, or some patients have anxiety, whatever it is, and so they can get in a room and they can express themselves through their play and what's ailing them, and what things that they can be free from. And so it's really important, especially with children that have gone to who have dealt with death of a parent, or just a recent death, or things like that, because they don't have the words to process what is happening, or they can't say anything. And so it's almost like, it's how do we grow past this when I don't even know what this is, and I don't even know how to explain it. And so I mean, there are or little things like car accidents, right? That is very traumatic for a child, whether it's like a bumper or whatever, but it's very traumatic. And so play therapy gives them what they need to get past and heal, so that they can move on.
Wow, that is great information.
Mm-hmm.
Great information. Wow. And I never even thought of that about a car accident or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And not being able to have the language to process that or verbalize what's going on, or what you have anxiety or fear for love. I think that's great.
Mm-hmm.
Great.
Yeah.
If you're just tuning in, we are kicking it with the Kellys, and we have a special guest on today, Angie Carson, who is, shedding some light on a lot of things for us, and a great resource to the community and the Black community. This is Black excellence at its finest. We're talking about mental health, and we're talking about children, and we're talking about the family. Do you think that families should go to counseling together, or does counseling need to be an individual experience?
I think it has a lot to do with the function of the family, right? Sometimes, a lot of times when families aren't functioning productively, when they're moving but it's dysfunctional, like then absolutely everybody needs to be in the building doing family counseling, so that we can sort our roles and expectations and things like that. Absolutely. But I think, if the family isn't ready for that, then obviously, of course, do individual counseling until we're like, all right, it's time.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. I love that, because it's going to be some furniture moving up in some of those sessions if the whole family come. Angie, I want to say this. Our experiences have definitely shaped us to be the people that we are today. And Corinthia kind of hit on the head when he saw our parents, and it was not what they said, it's what they did and how they carried themselves, and what we took from that. You came along and said that from your parents, there were a lot of great things and a lot of great parenting tips that you took from your parents, but then you developed them into your own mantra and how you want to, service your family. So, and we have this old school generation that has it, my way or the highway. And then we have this new generation where there's a lot of more flexibility and, you know, on what we allow, what we accept, what we, really make a stance and say, no, you're going to do it this way or not. But there's been a lot more flexibility. What is there any advice that you can give families now that have different wide range of children, like you said, you're 12 and then you have 4 and 2, so that's a big gap. So I know that we already stated that we have to discipline by age. Everybody can't go at the bed at the same time. If everybody different age.
Right.
Is there any tips, tricks that you can give our viewing audience on, just parenting or, on how to approach things in the family unit?
Well, first and foremost, if there is a behavior that you are seeing in your children that you don't like, it probably came from you, right?
Ooh. Man, well, wash my face. Blake, where Blake at?
Right.
Blake.
He said he's gonna be watching. And so starting there, and I think ultimately, the start is with us, right? And I think once we are in a place of openness and acceptance that we don't know it all and we can't do it by ourselves, I think that's when I think there's a proverb or something like that says, when the student is ready, the teacher will show up. And so if you're open, those things will come to you and you're like, oh, okay, well, here we go. And it becomes, but it's up to you to accept, right? It's up to you to accept. So it starts there. And then you are guided along if you're open to that, right? But once that student is ready, the teacher will show up.
I love that. When the student is ready, the teacher will wax on, wax off. I mean, the Karate Kid is the perfect example of what you just said.
Yeah.
I love that. Corinthia, you got anything?
Man, I couldn't be more proud. I thoroughly enjoyed this conversation. I mean, there's so many nuggets that were dropped here today that I just love. So, I'm smiling on the outside and the inside. That's all I got.
Hey, Angie, what's next for you? I mean, you big time. I mean, what do you have any goals that you like to share? Well, let me ask you this. Do you Veronica asked this question, posed this question to me, and she said, we talk about goals.
Okay.
She has some goals for herself.
Mm-hmm.
And she kind of asked, do you tell people your goals, or do you need to keep that to yourself and let it come to fruition? My take was, if I set a goal, I'm going to let it be known, because obviously there's some accountability measures in that. But also, if I don't tell anybody what my goal is, if I accomplish it, why would I announce it then?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's my thinking, but that's just me.
So I have a couple of thoughts. One is, do you share your goal? Well, are you sharing it with people who, that have that psychological safety? Number one. Number two, do you share your goal because you're speaking life to it? Because out of the mouth, you speak life. And so, and I do this every Monday when it's time to eat right. And I say, I'm gonna go to the store and get all this food. But sometimes that creates the euphoria that I've already done it and I've already accomplished it. And so it seems like when you talk about it, it creates that sense of accomplishment, but it never gets accomplished. So, oh Lord, I just need to speak life to this whole eating right thing. But yeah, it just depends on the magnitude, right? And then sometimes too, do you need other people to help you accomplish your goal, right? Is it so big that you're going to need help? So it just depends. I say what our parents said, pray on it, it'll come to you.
Yeah, I love that. Pray on it. Corinthia.
It's a balance, and like I said earlier, it's important on who you tell your goal to. If you decide to share it with someone, it's important on who you tell it to, and you have to discern who the right people are, because again, I think there are energizers, there's neutralizers, and then there's drainers. There's some people that might be goal killers, or doubters and stuff. That's not who I want to share my goal with. I want to share my goal with people that say, I love that. That's a great idea. How can I help you get there? That's who I want to be sharing, or go for it. I want the encouragers. I want the people that's fueling it, So
Wow. Hey guys, we got about 5 more minutes before we wrap up. This is
question though. You asked me what was next.
Yeah. So
Okay.
yeah. Let me.
Ready.
Yeah, you ready? Because I asked because I didn't know if I was stepping out of line, because I didn't want you to be like, well, I'm praying on it. I'm working on that goal. So yes, would you like to share what's next for you?
I would. A couple of ventures that's next. I was praying one day, praying and fasting. That's what I do.
There you go.
And I was talking to the Lord, and the word came back to be a mother to the motherless. And that has a lot to do with mentorship, and training young women or young girls to be women, and what that means. And it's not all about TikTok dancing and Cardi B song. So
it ain't about the WAP. It's not about the WAP.
So that's coming soon. My daughter and I, and other relationships, aunts, sisters, and things. We're gonna start a show on that. And Bruce and I just got our NRA instructor certificates, so we will be having,
Hey, they shoot first, ask questions later. I'm talking about I'm talking about Second Amendment. They don't play. You step on their property if you want to.
Don't do it. Don't do it. I'm telling you.
Hey, are you a concealed weapons carrier, or you just keep it at home?
Absolutely.
You strap right now. Let me be quiet.
I was like, no, I ain't got no. So that's coming soon. So we'll be offering classes. And then we still got the farm business that we are venturing in.
Black. Where my hand at? Where your head at? Let me put my hand right on your head. Just hold it up. I'm talking about this Black excellence at its finest. But let me tell you, I do plan on taking y'all's class, because I think I need to go ahead on and just make it do. I'll put it somewhere, put it up somewhere. But when I'm in the car, it's gonna be on me. I'm just letting y'all know that. So don't try me. Don't try me. Hey, there. But it's something that I am praying about, because how we grew up.
Yeah.
I didn't know if I could have one. You know what I'm saying? Because the weapons of our warfare are not carnal, but are mighty, through the pulling down the stronghold. So I didn't know.
It's gonna be a pulling of something.
Yeah, you. And she just
pull the piece out.
Pull the piece out. I'm talking about everything gonna get right. Mental health, everything. You gonna act right. I can tell you that right now.
Yeah, act right.
No, you doing your thing. And the farm, I'm talking about, they got llamas on the farm. They got alpacas. They got y'all. What else y'all got on the farm, man?
We got alpacas, chickens, pigs, goats, sheep, a peacock. You know, the dog. Just all of it.
And this ain't Blueberry Gap. This ain't blue. I'm talking about this black owned, baby.
Right. We're in hopes of adding beef. So, you know, and our goal is to sell sustainable meat to everybody, to the community.
Just I'm about to start crying, man.
I love it. I love it. I love it. That's awesome. That's awesome. Keep it going.
In the words of Elder Minds. Amen.
Woo!
Hey guys, hey, listen, if you didn't catch the start of this show, you need to stop right now and go back to square one and watch from beginning to end, because I'm telling you, it has been an awesome show. Kia said it's about the WAP, worship and praise. There we go. There we go. It's about worship and praise. Angie, I can't thank you enough for coming to kick it with us today on this impromptu Saturday. It's just, this has been amazing. You are doing your thing. I pray blessings, continued blessings on your family, extended family. Everything that you touch turns to gold. And I can't wait to hear more about Mommy and Mackenzie, as y'all do y'all's mother, work on with mothers and everything like that. It's gonna be pretty awesome.
Awesome. I appreciate y'all. Y'all listen. Family. That's
family.
All y'all into this too.
Okay. Hey, for everybody that tuned in, thank you to all the males that were on. Appreciate y'all. Thank you for coming to kick it with us. Thank you, honey, for always supporting us. We'll be back on Thursday, 8:00 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thank you for kicking with us, and y'all have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful night. Peace. Hi. Peace.